What's up, Nashville? I am Beau with the Free Speech Podcast, as always brought to you by Beechwood Commercial Real Estate Brokerage, your commercial real estate broker if you are a seller in the Southeast. Thanks so much for tuning in. As always, we bring you the top 10 stories of the week: business, commercial real estate, culture, sports, maybe even a little politics here and there. But I'll tell you, we've got more than 10 stories for you today, a lot of news to share with you. So while we're going to cover more than 10 stories, they're pretty short in nature, so it'll be a fast-moving podcast today. I'm going to give you a brief overview of all the stories we're about to share with you, and then we'll get into it. First, go inside Jelly Roll's Goodnight Nashville. I'll give you an update on that very exciting project. Next, a 16-story tower in the Gulch is nearing its completion. This is a big project worth knowing about. Tiger Woods' Nashville golf project breaks ground. There's all kinds of sports-related new developments going in and around Nashville. Tiger Woods has put his name on a recent golf project. I'll tell you that story. A Fortune 500 company leaves Chicago and claims Nashville as its new headquarters. Discount giant Dollar Tree and Five Below have emerged as the top takers for the Party City store leases. So as you know, we've been tracking all of the retail store closures. We've been telling you the story of how these leases for these retail stores are being auctioned off and how kind of unusual that is. I'm going to tell you how those lease auctions are playing out. Next, a Penthouse is under contract in the new Paramount Tower, which is going to set an all-time Nashville record. Next, discount chain Bargain Hunt is slated to liquidate and close all of its 92 stores. I've got family that goes to Bargain Hunt. I've got one near my home. I've never stepped foot in there. Not really my type of thing, but I'm going to tell you that story, how Bargain Hunt went from 92 locations to absolutely close, seemingly out of nowhere. Next, I'm going to give you a 2024 residential update. So I'm not in the residential business, but I do own a home, obviously, and I think it's interesting to share with you how the residential market changed in 2024. Next, our Governor Lee's budget contains a potential TPAC surprise, right? So TPAC has been looking to construct a new ground-up development for their business. They've been targeting the East Bank. The East Bank has proved to be too expensive, so now we have an idea of where they might locate as an alternative location. Next, another retailer is closing stores. I'll share with you who that is. It's a tale of two cities when it comes to Nashville office space. We've got the trophy properties, and then we've got Class and B and C properties. They're having a very different experience in our current marketplace. I'll bring you up to date there. A Major League Pickleball franchise relocates to Nashville. You probably didn't know that there was a major league for pickleball, but there is. I'll explain to you what that means and how they ended up in Nashville. Next, In-N-Out Burger has a goal to be in all of Tennessee. Their recent updates on how they are planning to expand in Tennessee, very exciting. In-N-Out Burger is one of those chains that's famous on the West Coast. They've got very Christian, very good people that own that business. They're leaving the West Coast and now really trying to grow in Tennessee and Texas, and then they're going to fill in the areas in between over time. I'll let you know why they fell in love with Tennessee and what their plans are. A pro women's basketball league debuts in Nashville. You probably heard that there are some folks targeting a WNBA franchise for Nashville. This is something different. This is a different opportunity to see professional women's basketball in Nashville right now. A Vanderbilt area hotel is under contract to sell at a significant loss. Up until real recently, there were no properties in and around Nashville selling for losses. The headlines have kind of changed recently, and now it's affecting the hotel business as well. I'll tell you that story. Vanderbilt University is set to demolish several Music Row buildings. I'll let you know where those are and what they plan to replace them with. And lastly, a massive redevelopment is scheduled and planned at the Rivergate Mall in Madison. Or Goodlettsville. Is that Madison or Goodlettsville? That might be Goodlettsville. Let me think about that. You all know where the Rivergate Mall is. It's been in a state of vacancy and crisis for a number of years, but it's on a huge piece of land that's really well located, and the owners of that property are now going to rework it with completely different and more modern uses. So I'll catch you up on that. So as I said, many stories to cover in today's show, but we're going to move quickly. So stay with me. Go inside Jelly Roll's Goodnight Nashville. Jelly Roll, who came out of nowhere to massive stardom. As a matter of fact, when I first moved to Nashville, we were renting a home while our home was being built. And it just so turns out we were living right next to Jelly Roll. And if you don't really have a frame of reference for Jelly Roll and you just meet him one day, huge man, tattoos on his face, you don't know really what to make of him. You wouldn't think he would be living in a nice neighborhood in Franklin, but nevertheless he was. And the big takeaway of that story is, he was this hip-hop rapper, right? So a white rapper rapping about country life at that time. Nevertheless, all of the neighbors in this Franklin residential neighborhood were kind of nasty to us because they looked down at us because we were renting, right? Which is foolish because we were building a home nearby that was much nicer than all of their homes, but they had no idea that was the case, so they thought they could look down on us. The only person that was really cool to us while we were renting that home was Jelly Roll. So I have to give him props for that. He was a real cool dude, even before he was famous, very down-to-earth, friendly guy. So I got nothing but love for Jelly Roll. I'm very excited about his rise to fame. I think it's deserving, and I always root for him. So that's why I'm bringing you Jelly Roll's Goodnight Nashville. Opened on Lower Broadway in January. So it's now open. The 4-story entertainment venue located at 209 Broadway is a partnership between singer Jelly Roll, Arizona-based Evening Entertainment Group, and Franklin-based Alpha Development. The mass timber building, so it's not a steel building, built with all wood, which is an interesting trend that's kind of growing right now, as a matter of fact, but I don't want to get off track. That mass timber building was originally going to be a concept called Bottled Blonde. However, conversations with Jelly Roll began around 9 months ago. Did you know that 90% plus of Broadway traffic is tourist-based traffic? You probably knew that was an area of our city that is really frequented by tourists. I mean, there's no doubt about that, but 90% plus. The biggest draw to Broadway as a whole is live music. And then when people come, they want to check out these celebrity bars. So you're really catering to tourists on Broadway. You're trying to provide them with live music. And if possible, you're trying to associate a celebrity with your bar. And that, at least right now, is the magic combination for insane daily sales, which is the only reason that those buildings are trading for well above $1,000 per square foot. The first floor features a main bar and full food menu, lots of seating, live music, large screens, and a massive skull chandelier and drum headlights. The food menu focuses on American gastropub cuisine, obvious thing to do in my opinion. Good, well-executed bar food, so good when you're feeling like being indulgent, right? On the mezzanine level, sits a tattoo parlor led by Paramount Network's Ink Master winner Bubba Irwin. The second floor is dedicated to Jelly Roll's wife, Bunny XO, and will offer a full nightlife experience with VIP reservations, a bar with a cutout of Bunny, and vintage speakers, DJs, smoke machines, laser lights, and more. Sounds like a wild scene. Next, Buddy's, named in honor of Jelly Roll's late father, sits on the third floor and offers a speak-easy lounge. And then the fourth floor has an indoor-outdoor rooftop, booth seating inside and out, DJ space, and more. So 4 different experiences at Jelly Roll's Goodnight Nashville. Sounds like a very cool concept. Seems very well executed, and they attached the name of a very good dude. So go check it out if you're willing to endure 90% plus tourism traffic while you are there. I personally haven't had a drink in over 9 years, and in those situations, it's real hard to get me to Lower Broadway while everyone is blackout drunk and the music is so loud you can't even talk to each other, and there just seems to be danger everywhere you look. So it's not a good combination for me. So y'all go have a drink for me at Goodnight Nashville. Next, let's go on. A 16-story tower in the Gulch is nearing completion. Recently announced the topping out of Society Nashville, a massive 502-unit mixed-use development located at 915 Division Street. We are excited to be one step closer to bringing Society Nashville to the Gulch, which we are confident will amplify this neighborhood's unique character and foster a sense of community through its events, classes, and connected atmosphere. That's interesting. So 502 units of vertical mixed-use development in their real kind of branding that they're doing here, their real selling point, their competitive advantage is events, classes, and a connected atmosphere. Very interesting. If you could pull that off, I mean, I think that is a very low-cost way to set yourself apart from your competition in the Gulch. Society Nashville will offer studio to 3-bedroom units, as well as an 8,400 square foot retail space and 485 parking spaces. The tower is expected to open later this year. So a very high profile development in the Gulch. Tiger Woods' Nashville Golf Project breaks ground. What do you expect Tiger Woods has attached his name to? How about a 5.4-acre golf and entertainment venue, which will open in Nashville in early 2026, or about a year out? Pop Stroke Entertainment Group, owned by Tiger Woods, Greg Bartoli, and Tailor Made Golf, broke ground on its indoor-outdoor mini-golf venue called Pop Stroke. Pop Stroke is located at Century Farms and will offer 52,000 square feet of indoor mini-golf, 25,000 square feet of outdoor mini-golf, and 9,500 square feet of multi-level dining and bars. There will be 2 18-hole courses inside and 1 18-hole course outside. Pop Stroke is one of several golf-focused projects on the horizon for Nashville. Pop Stroke features a full-service restaurant, ice cream parlor with 22 flavors, and a sports bar with jumbotrons and TVs. Guests can order drinks through a mobile app and have them delivered on the course. Pop Stroke has locations across South Carolina, Alabama, Arizona, Florida, Nevada, and Texas. Nashville is also set to welcome In-Town Golf Club, Bounty Club, and the Putting Zone in coming months. So, I got respect for people that golf. I get it. I just personally don't have the time to commit to being good at it, right? 4 kids. I coach. I've got a business. I've got too much going on. I would love to be a golfer. I really would, but it just isn't in the cards for me. All of those concepts seem very, very cool. So if you're a golfer in and around Nashville, you've got so many different venues to use. And now you've even got some options in the winter to keep that love for the game going. So I hope all of those unique sports concepts including all of the pickleball concepts that we've updated you on in previous weeks. I hope they all make it. I really think it makes for a rich offering of entertainment in Nashville besides just getting blackout drunk and listening to screeching loud music. I think that's good for the community, but what do I know? Next, we'll move on. Fortune 500 company leaves Nashville, leaves Chicago for Nashville. LKQ Corp, which I don't know about that name, y'all. I can't remember LKQ. It just doesn't roll off the tongue. But what do? They sell replacement parts for vehicles. They relocated its corporate office to Antioch. Executives are all based at the company's 100,000 square foot office southeast of downtown Nashville. LKQ now has about 650 employees here, including some key roles that shifted from Chicago. This location is now its anchor for its worldwide workforce of 49,000 people. That might be the biggest company in Nashville that y'all have never heard of. 49,000 people on payroll. The headquarters move plants another public company in greater Nashville, fitting a pattern of companies leaving high-tax states for places such as Tennessee. LKQ logged $13.9 billion in revenue in 2023, which would have ranked the company as the 5th largest public business in the region. So this isn't a real interesting story, except that this is a massive company. There's a massive company that left the hellhole known as Chicago and came to God's country here in Tennessee. And that's worth at least mentioning. The shift also boosts Antioch, which remains one of Nashville's fastest growing areas while being one of its most diverse. So big win for Middle Tennessee. All right, discount giant Dollar Tree and Five Below have emerged as the top takers for Party City store leases. But hundreds of the chain's brick-and-mortar locations have so far failed to attract bidders in its bankruptcy. So Party City goes out of business. They say, hey, man, we got to sell everything we have that has value to kind of make our creditors more whole, right? That's how bankruptcy works. Let's auction off our store leases, right? A lease is an obligation, right? So at least you have to pay money every month to continue to use that space. But because there's a 4% vacancy nationwide for retail space, it is thought that some of these leases, while they are liabilities, can actually be assets to companies going bankrupt, because this is a simple, easy, efficient way for other businesses to take over those leases and reoccupy those spaces. Dollar Tree successfully bid on 148 Party City leases. Five Below had 44 successful bids for Party City leases. At the bankruptcy auction, there were bids for about 250 stores, but there were 700 leases offered, right? So I told you it's an unusual thing to do. Only 250 of the 700 leases received bids. The auction results indicate that even though U.S. retail space is scarce with a 4.1% vacancy rate, not every vacant or available brick-and-mortar location is going to quickly find a new tenant. Some of the other bidders that participated were landlords themselves, which is an interesting thing. You're bidding to take over a lease in your own facility to stop the cash flow that you're receiving, just so that you can hand select the replacement tenant. So behind Dollar Tree and Five Below, the most bids actually came from the landlords, the owners of those properties. Cavender's, 15 bids. Rack Room Shoes, 9 bids. Books A Million, 5 bids. Barnes & Noble, Lazy Boy, and Zurcher's Merchandise, 4 bids each. And Burlington Stores bid on 2 different leases. The leases that did traded for a total gross proceeds of $14.5 million, which is not nothing. So Party City made $14.5 million that they didn't already have, and Dollar Tree and Five Below got to buy themselves into lease liabilities so that they can occupy those stores themselves. So very unusual thing, auctioning off lease obligations. But they did it. They pulled it off, $14.5 million to show for it. Let's keep moving. The Penthouse at Tony Giartana's, which is a great name, rolls right off the tongue. Paramount Tower, another great name, is poised to set a record. I think these are kind of fun. This building, this condo building, is going to be the tallest in Tennessee. It's going to create one massive penthouse condo on the 60th floor, 60. The deal will mark the largest condo purchase ever in Music City history. The entire top floor of the yet-to-be-built tower. So this is pre-selling a yet-to-be-built tower, which by itself is a very difficult thing to do. Sell units in a building that's not even built yet. The total price of the 3 contracts was not disclosed, but Giartana said the price is higher than the initial asking price of the Four Seasons top floor grand penthouse, which was $25 million. So this is going to exceed $25 million. Last July, Graves, who is the owner of Raising Cane's, right? He paid $15 million for a 4,000 square foot penthouse at the Four Seasons in downtown Nashville. That residence spanned more. So he paid $15 million for 4,000 square feet. This residence we're talking about now is going to expand over 11,000 square feet. Paramount, which will rise at 1010 Church Street, was conceived when Giartana responded to a request for proposals to renovate the downtown YMCA facility with the opportunity to redevelop a portion of the larger property. Once selected, Giartana paid $26 million for the 0.71 acre site in 2022. Can you imagine? You paid $26 million in 2022 for less than an acre. You are making payments on that debt for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years before this project is ever complete. Developers don't get enough respect. Ground-up development is so hard. It's so hard just to get the project done, let alone get it done in a profitable way. Developers don't get enough respect. These guys got the biggest balls of anybody in the market. I don't care what anybody says. You're going to build a 60-story tower, the tallest in the state. You're going to carry a $26 million land cost for 3, 4, 5 years. Man, difficult thing to do. Much respect from me. The tower will offer about 360 apartments, 140 condos, and a 517-space parking garage. The project also includes a 5-story, 60,000 square foot addition to the YMCA. The $390 million development will have 2 amenity levels. The 9th floor will feature a residential lounge, demonstration kitchen, a private dining room, fitness room, and game room with a billiards table, as well as a pool area with cabanas and grilling stations. The 40th level will be dedicated to condo amenities, including a lounge and bar area, 25-seat private dining room, and a catering kitchen. So, awesome project, awesome developer, and soon to be an awesome 11,500 square foot penthouse, which is going to shatter the most recent record set by the founder of Raising Cane's. Next, discount chain Bargain Hunt is no longer. It will liquidate and close all of its 92 stores. Bargain Hunt, based in Nashville, Tennessee, we're losing a homegrown business, has kicked off a going out of business sale. All of its stores across 10 different states. Now on the expanding list of companies that have either filed Chapter 11 in 2025 or closing stores this year, that group includes Liberated Brands, which we're going to talk about in just a minute, Joann, Party City, and Macy's. They blamed their financial troubles on heightened competition and economic headwinds such as high interest rates, but Bargain Hunt had another woe to contend with, the termination of a deal it had with Amazon. Bargain Hunt described itself as an extreme value retail chain where customers could buy name brand merchandise 30 to 90% below normal retail prices, goods that the company obtained through closeouts, buyouts, overstocks, and returns. The company's other more profitable business was a reverse logistics wholesale business, which is hard to understand, right? Amazon.com was the company's largest supplier, providing customer returns for the company for its wholesale business. So my understanding of this is they would buy returns in large quantities from Amazon, break those large quantities up slightly smaller into different bulk wholesale purchases, and then flip those items, right, returned items, to other retailers for a profit. The company hasn't been profitable in recent years. In similar Chapter 11 filings, store leases have been auctioned off as part of the bankruptcy process, which we just discussed. So it seems like that extreme value retail chain business model is just not profitable enough to stay in business. They had this secondary business that no one really knew about that was paying the bills. Amazon took that away, and then the whole house of cards came falling down. Now, a 2024 residential updates. Total home sales increased across Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, by 1% compared to 2023. So the number of homes that sold in 2023 was real similar to the amount of homes that sold in 2024. What I think is most interesting is single-family home prices still went up 5%. So even with all of the drama in the political sphere, even with inflated interest rates, single-family homes still went up 5% in value in 2024. The local economy saw a $5 billion boost in GDP, a 3% increase year over year. Middle Tennessee's market has seen consistent appreciation in recent years. At the beginning of 2024, the median price for a single-family home was $460,000. At the end of the year, prices rose by 5% to just over $492,000. Interest rates were another driver that contributed to the overall performance of the housing market. After peaking at 7.31% in 2023, rates on a conventional 30-year fixed mortgage hovered around 7% at the end of the year. So not a whole lot of change in interest rates. What's driving those home prices higher is we live in a paradise here, and other people want to live here too. And it takes what it takes to buy a home for your family. You got to pay what you got to pay to be where you want to be. And that's really the reason for that 5% price increase over the last year. We are very, very fortunate to live where we live. Others are trying to escape less fortunate places to live, and they're paying the price they have to pay to do it. Let's keep it going. We aren't going to see real change in our market in terms of the amount of homes being sold until those interest rates really get much lower. All those folks, including me, that are sitting on 3% or less interest rates are not moving unless we have a very, very compelling reason to do so, unless you're a fool. And there are some fools out there. I got people leaving my neighborhood for not very good reasons that are doubling, tripling their mortgage payment to do so. So don't underestimate the amount of fools around us, right? Those fools are going to move no matter whether it makes financial sense or not. But for the most part, people that live in a neighborhood that they like, they aren't going anywhere until interest rates get comparable to what their current interest rate is. Now, a potential TPAC surprise, right? And in the intro, I kind of caught you up to date on this. Lee unveiled a budget plan that includes the rest of the $500 million state officials pledged to TPAC to help Spurts move out of its longtime home in a state-owned building downtown. For every dollar TPAC raises from donors to build a new venue, it can tap $5 of state money up to the $500 million total. So to get the $500 million from the state, they've got to raise $100 million themselves. Until last month, TPAC officials had been pursuing a prominent riverfront site on the East Bank as its new home. A non-binding deal framework negotiated by Mayor Freddie O'Connell's administration earmarked a 3.3-acre site for TPAC at the one end of the John Single-Faller pedestrian bridge. We got to rename that, y'all. If you can't pronounce it, it cannot be in the name. But everybody knows the pedestrian bridge downtown. In January, TPAC's board decided to evaluate other options as frustrations with Metro boiled over. Sources familiar with the situation have pointed to land on Bicentennial Capitol Mall State Park in Germantown as one viable prospect. Currently, the roughly 9-acre property across from the Nashville Sounds ballpark and down the block from Tennessee State Library and Archives is home to the state's North Data Center and a couple of parking lots. Lee's budget proposes a $40 million one-time funding for what's labeled as North Data Center relocation, right? So the idea is they're going to relocate this data center from the site, and then they're going to free up those 9 acres for TPAC, or at least a portion of those 9 acres. As the state modernizes our data operations, the need for physical space has been eliminated. Wow. A government entity with a little bit of sense. That is refreshing. The state has been working for the last few years to move TPAC and the empty state workers from the connected office buildings so it can lease the block-long property, which is bordered by Diedrich and Union Streets, 5th Avenue North and 6th Avenue North. So they're trying to get TPAC out of their current location so it can lease that block-long parcel for new development. That's why TPAC has to move. They couldn't afford to move to the site at the end of the pedestrian bridge. Plan B is to relocate that data center and occupy a portion of that 9-acre parcel across from Nashville Sound Stadium, which I think would be an awesome location. Another retailer is closing stores, y'all, known as Liberated Brands, an outdoor lifestyle apparel seller, is the latest U.S. retailer to add to the pile of stores slated to close this year as it plans to liquidate its fleet of roughly 124 brick-and-mortar locations. These stores are operating under the names of Volcom, Billabong, Quicksilver, Spider, RVCA, and Roxy. Will be winding down its business after filing for bankruptcy protection. Liberated Brands blamed its financial downfall on its underperforming brick-and-mortar footprint, challenges from the macroeconomy, and stiff competition from fast fashion companies that offer inexpensive apparel online. Foresight Research has forecast that 2025 will be a record breaker for store closings. These are retail stores, with roughly 15,000 stores closing expected. The retailer has already closed its corporate offices and laid off about 350 corporate employees and roughly 1,040 retail staffers. Liberated Brands was founded in 2019 by its current CEO, Todd Heimel, who had been part of the management team of Volcom, a modern lifestyle clothing company rooted in skateboarding, surfing, and snowboarding. Liberated's significant brick-and-mortar retail footprint has imposed a further drag on profitability. During the COVID-19 scamdemic, consumer demand for online shopping increased across the retail apparel industry, and the demand for the brick-and-mortar shopping experience did not bounce back fully after the so-called crisis had abated. The effects of COVID-19 continue to challenge the fashion and sport apparel industry today. In addition, now, consumers can cheaply, quickly, and easily order low-quality clothing garments from fast fashion powerhouses and have such goods delivered within days. So, add 124 more store closings to that estimate of 15,000 expected this year. It's a tale of two cities when it comes to Nashville office space. While the new, shiny Class A buildings are seeing successful lease-ups, the older stock is getting passed by. The phenomenon leaves two options for building owners: invest or drop rent. It's been a tough slog for the office market since COVID. The pandemic caused companies across the country to reevaluate their workspace needs, with many downsizing their office footprints and pursuing hybrid or remote options. Quote, there are a bunch of companies that are stuck in work from home into perpetuity. Unfortunately, even if only 10 or 20% of the market ends up forever work from home, if you take the 20% of the office supply out there and say it's suddenly available, that's a huge problem. The fight to quality trend has become increasingly prevalent, with tenants having a strong preference for buildings with loads of amenities. Office properties that are older, even by just a decade, will have to be renovated in order to keep up. Take the entire city of Brentwood. There are not many new buildings. If it has to be a new building, Brentwood's really in trouble, which I hadn't heard anybody really say before, right? So Brentwood is one of those suburban office hubs, right? But that's true. There's very little new supply in Brentwood. So if you want to be in Brentwood, you're going to be in an older property. And some are saying, if you're demanding new properties with lots of amenities, well, watch out Brentwood, because Brentwood's soon to be in trouble. We'll have to track that. I'm not sure I believe it. But generally speaking, especially in the downtown core, there is a flight to quality. Those tenants that are paying those premium lease rates want to be in the best and the best. Next, Major League Pickleball franchise relocates to Nashville. Nashville just landed another professional sports team. Major League Pickleball team, the Frisco Pandas, announced a relocation to Nashville. It has a solid pro sports environment. Our owners are big fans of Nashville, and our celebrity contacts are in Nashville. We think we can do cool stuff around this team in Tennessee. The team name will not stay the Nashville Pandas. They'll be rebranded, right? Major League Pickleball was founded by billionaire Steve Kuhn in 2021. It now has 24 co-ed teams competing across 2 levels. Co-ed is interesting. The 2025 season will consist of 10 regular season events, a mid-season tournament and playoffs, with all events hosted in cities with a Major League Pickleball team. The team's ownership group is led by sports and comedy group Dude Perfect and Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott. So what Major League Pickleball is trying to do is attach themselves to celebrities, right? And they think that is a good business model. Some teams are valued around $10 million, and the league has seen ownership investment from celebrities like LeBron James, Patrick Mahomes, Heidi Klum, and Michael Phelps, and more. So there you go. Music City Pickleball is on its way to Nashville. Next, In-N-Out Burger goes all in on Tennessee. In-N-Out Burger is eyeing 35 possible Tennessee locations, according to owner Lindsay Snyder Ellison. Despite saying for years she'd never bring an In-N-Out this far east, the restaurant will make its Tennessee debut later this year with its Franklin restaurant, while its corporate headquarters, called Eastern Headquarters, are also underway in Williamson County. Quote, "My husband just started talking about Tennessee, and then God started working on my heart. I started bringing it to the office. I think we're supposed to go to Tennessee," she said. "It was really just a God thing. And then, of course, the more I've come here, I've fallen in love with really the whole state. But there's something very quaint about the Franklin area. I agree. I'm a resident of Franklin. I think it's the best city in the country." Nashville is expected to have 10 to 15 stores, Chattanooga 2 to 3 stores, Knoxville 3 to 5 stores. The Nashville area, they've already identified sites in Franklin, Goodlettsville, Antioch, and Lebanon. The restaurants alone could generate 3,500 jobs in Tennessee, set to open in 2026. The $126 million, 100,000 square foot Franklin office will employ around 200 people as well. Snyder Ellison's grandparents founded In-N-Out in Baldwin Park, California in 1948. Now the company has over 400 locations between California and Texas and has over 40,000 employees. To figure out where In-N-Out is headed next, look to the region between Texas and Tennessee. So they're going all in on Tennessee, they're going all in Texas, and because they're going to have routes between the two, they think eventually those routes will fill in with additional In-N-Out locations. Let's keep moving. We've got a few more stories for you here. 4 left to go. AU Pro Women's Basketball debuts in Nashville. You probably never heard of this. I certainly had. Olympians and WNBA All-Stars are heading to Nashville this week. Athletes Unlimited Pro Basketball is tipping off its 4th season in Music City at Municipal Auditorium. The league previously played in Las Vegas and Dallas. Launched in 2022, AU Pro Basketball is the only league outside of the WNBA that allows women to play 5-on-5 full-court games at professional levels in the U.S., keeping WNBA players in the off-season and non-WNBA players from having to go overseas to compete. The AU Pro Basketball season is starting a week after Bill Haslam and his wife, Chrissy, submitted a WNBA expansion bid for Nashville. If awarded, the WNBA team would be called Tennessee Summit in honor of Pat Summitt. The AAU season will span 4 weeks, with the first week having 6 games and tickets starting at just $20. Each week, the top 4 players draft new teams, making each game new. So each week, these teams are reshuffled and they play some more. More than half the players on this year's 40-person roster have WNBA experience, and 24 of them are competing AAU Pro Basketball for the first time. Sports business tourism has been growing in Nashville in recent years with recent additions of Nashville SC, IndyCar, and others. Why are they leaving out professional pickleball? Should have made the article. All right, next. Some short ones for you. A Vanderbilt area hotel is under contract to sell at a significant loss. A New York-based Reed Hotel Capital entered an agreement to pay $57.5 million for the Embassy Suites Nashville at Vanderbilt. The figure is nearly $9 million less than what it sold for a decade ago. The hotel, owned by investment trust Moody National REIT, sits on 1.25 acres at 1811 Broadway. Moody paid $66.3 million for the Embassy Suites in 2015. With 208 rooms, the pending deal is equivalent to about $276,000 per room. Nashville hotels have become a hot commodity among out-of-town investors. Nashville ranks number 1 for post-COVID group and transient hotel demand out of the top 25 markets in the U.S. Many lenders acclimated to rapid interest rate hikes in 2022 and 2023 by giving short-term extensions on loans. As extensions expire, lenders are now looking to take action and in some cases are forcing landlords to sell their assets to pay off debts, even if it comes at a loss. So that's what a lot of folks don't realize, is that when you're selling these assets for the losses that they've been sold for recently, it's because you have no other choice, right? If the lender is going to give you short-term extensions, you're going to kick that can down the road and hope the market shifts in such a way that you can still make a profit or even just become whole on your investment. If your lender refuses to play ball and they say, well, you guys take it to the market and sell it for what it's worth, that's why you're seeing these properties trade at huge losses. The lenders are saying, no more. We will not kick the can any further down the road. Today is the day to take your property to the market and sell it for what the highest bidder will pay, and then you are going to make us whole. And if that means you're losing some money, well, you're going to lose some money. And that's kind of where we're getting in our cycle. We've got more and more lenders that are unwilling to play ball with some of these borrowers. Vanderbilt University is set to demolish several Music Row buildings at 1203 17th Avenue, 1207 17th Avenue, and 1200 18th Avenue South. This is demolition of a 3-story office building, 2 apartment buildings, a parking garage, and 2 residential homes that had been converted to office use. So these are viable, very valuable properties that are getting demolished. Vanderbilt has been buying up Midtown land for the last few years as it plans for the evolution of its campus. Vanderbilt's Roberts Academy and Dyslexia Center. Roberts Academy and Dyslexia Center is what is going to be built in place of that office building, those 2 apartment buildings, a parking garage, and 2 residential homes being used for office use. So they spent a premium to buy that land. They are clearing that land and building a dyslexia center. Okay? I think some of these universities just have way too much money, but no one asked me my opinion. A massive redevelopment of the Rivergate Mall is now planned. Cincinnati-based Mirus, which recently changed its name from Al Nair is leading the project, which will redevelop a 15-acre property home to a portion of the Rivergate Mall site. The proposed development includes residential, retail, restaurant, and outdoor green space. The project could offer up to 366 multifamily units, which range from townhomes, apartments, and senior living housing, and around 71,000 square feet of commercial space. Construction is expected to start this fall, and a 2029 completion is expected. Quote, the Rivergate Master Plan reimagines the intersection of Rivergate Parkway and Gallatin Pike, transforming an underperforming mall and underutilized properties into a dynamic mixed-use destination. This redevelopment introduces walkable streets, diverse land uses, and a signature green space designed to inspire connection and community. A portion of the mall will need to be demolished to accommodate the new development. So Rivergate Mall is finally going to become cool again. It's been quite some time since anyone traveled to the Rivergate Mall with any level of pride or excitement. It is going to look very different come 2029. So I think that is a great development for Middle Tennessee as well. And that rounds out our show. A little longer than usual. We gave you some additional stories. I hope we provide you some value, caught you up on what's going on in and around Middle Tennessee in the commercial real estate business. As always, this episode is brought to you by Beechwood Commercial Real Estate Brokerage, your seller for commercial properties in the Southeast. Thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, it's been fun.